Hello students and viewers. So today I'm going to talk about germination testing, seed germination testing. In previous lecture I have discussed about moisture testing of seeds and now it's germination testing. So now see here in germination what it happens, right? So everyone knows, let me take the pen. This is the smaller seed, okay? When we are putting these seeds in a water, right, it will imbibe and seed will further form two parts. The one will in upright position and the another part will go down in downward direction, right? So the part which goes up in upward direction, that part we called it as what? Plumule part, right? This is plumule, right? And the part which goes down, that is a radicle, right? This is the tissue which is going down. So from the plumule our shoot develops and from radicle root is going to form. So that is the germination. Through germination the seed will germinate to form seedling and then afterwards it will converted into a tree like structure, right? So to form these structures, to form or to take water in, to convert it into a imbibe structure and then getting converted into or getting formed into a plumule and radical like structure, other factors are also responsible. For example, other favorable condition, for example, temperature, environmental condition, moisture, temperature, light, water, all these conditions are required to germinate seeds in a successful manner. Now see what are the principles are there for germination, right? So here particular principles they have mentioned. Who mentioned? This ISTA, okay, International Seed Testing Agency. ISTA, it defines some rules for germination, right? So suppose minimum 400 seeds you have to take or you have to required for germination. So these 400 seed not to sow at a time, okay? So what you have to do is you have to take 100 seeds each, right? And you have to make 4 replicas, right? You have to make what? 4 replicas of 100 seeds. So 100 into 4, what will happen? 400. Total 400 seeds are there. If not, if you don't want to take 100 seeds each, then you can able to take even 50 seeds, but your replication number will be increased for 8, okay? 50 is a 8, it is 400, right? Then if not, again 50 seeds are again you are unable to grow it, you are unable to germinate it, then again you can take 25 seeds and replications would be a 16 replicas, right? So likewise total our seed count should be a 400. You can take any replication count and you can germinate it, right? So the test is conducted under favorable conditions of moisture. These conditions should be there. Moisture should be a proper, temperature also proper. Then suitable substratum means any substratum. For example, you want to grow in a sand, you want to grow in a soil, or if not, if you want to grow in on a paper, right, blotting paper, then you can take any substratum which is which will give you a successful result, right? So no pre-treatment to the seed is given. See, no pre-treatment to the seed is given except for those recommended by ISTA. Means again ISTA has defined some rules for pre-treatment of particular seeds, right? So those seeds only be given the pre-treatment or Then rest of the seeds we have to grow, we have to germinate in a normal water treatment. Now, so here see which are the material which are required for germination. So our first point is substratum. So here substratum may be sand, substratum may be germination paper, or substratum may be soil, right? So one by one I'm going to discuss about the substratum. Means if you want to take sand, then again the requirements are different, water requirement is again different, how to sow the seeds, these requirements are again separates, means different from this. According to the substratum, your requirement and your uh, uh, the way how you are growing the seeds in it is also a different. So let's begin with the sand first. Now see first sand, right? So size of sand particle, size. See first point is size, right? So here size should not be too large or too small, right? It should not be a too large, too small. The sand particles should pass through 0.8 mm sieve and retained by 0.05 mm sieve. Okay, so your sand particle should pass through this 0.80 mm sieve and should remain as it is by 0.05 mm sieve. Then toxicity. Next point is toxicity. So sand should not have any toxic material or any pathogen in it. That is the basic requirement, right? So if there is presence of any pathogen found, then sand should be sterilized in an autoclave. So your substratum should be sterilized in order to kill the pathogen if it is present in it, right? Now next part is germination tray, right? So here you have to take the tray size, that is 22.5 into 22.5 into 4 centimeter, right? So here you have to take the measurement is like this, getting? So the tray may be either zinc or stainless steel. They are also given this material of this tray. It may be of zinc or stainless steel. Next, method of seed placement. Now how you are going to place your seeds on a sand, right? So again here they have given at the depth of 1 to 2 centimeter with the sand, and in a moist condition you have to see, in a moist sand you have to place your seeds in a uniform manner, right? Now means this is the sand, then you have to suppose here you have placed your seeds and your sand is moist in condition, right? And in a depth of 1 to 2 centimeter you have to press your seed, right? And then you have to again cover the seed with the sand. Okay, so likewise in this manner you have to place the seed. Then top of the sand, its short form is TS. Okay, top of the sand, right? So seeds are pressed in into the surface of the sand. So as I explained, you have to press the seed so that it will be covered with sand. Now spacing. Now see spacing. So we must give equal spacing on all the side. Okay, why we are giving equal spacing? Because it will facilitate the normal growth of seedling and to avoid entangling of seeds and spread of disease, right? Suppose in any seed they might be getting infected, then this disease should not be passed from one seed to another seed, and hence we are keeping space in between them. So sorry, the spacing should be 1 to 5 times the width or the diameter of seed. Now next point is water. So now the amount of water to be added to the sand will depend on the size of the seed. Yes, right? So here according to the size of the seed you have to water it, and for cereal except maize it is given the sand can be moistened to 50% of its water holding capacity. For large seeded legumes and maize, sand is moistened to 60% water holding capacity. Means up to 50% of WHC we have to moisten the same sand. Now next part is paper. Previous part we have seen about sand. Now second is paper. Now, so most widely used paper, these are filter paper and blotter or towel. It is also called as craft paper. So any one of the paper you have to take for germination, either filter paper or if available you can take even the blotter or towel paper. Then now it should have capillary movement of water at vertical direction 30 rise per minute. So this paper has this characteristic that it is going to rise in the water in a vertical direction. So it should be of 30 rise per minute, right? So why it is so? Because you are placing the seeds on the paper, right? So seed should absorb the water and hence this property must has to this paper. Now, it should be free from toxic substances. See, as like previous in case of sand also we have mentioned this point. Toxic substances. It should be free from toxic substances. If the toxic substances are there, then you have to sterilize again paper, right? Now, it should hold sufficient moisture during period of test. So obviously paper should hold some water in it so that it will easy to germinate the seeds. Now, the texture should be such as that the roots of germinating seedlings will grow on and not into the paper. See, this is very important point. What it is mentioned? The roots of germinating seedling will grow on, right? It is not penetrate the paper, right? The germination should be on the paper and not into the paper. This is very important point, not into the paper. Next, top of paper. See, the short form it is called as TP. In many reference, if you read this is only the short form written over there, TP, BP, right? So you must know these short forms. TP, it is nothing but top of paper. Now, so how top of paper you are going to germinate the seeds, right? So in our laboratory, what we are taking, see, this is the plate, petri plate, right? And in a petri plate you have to cut the similar size of filter paper. Then you have to place the filter paper at the bottom of the petri plate and even on the lid, right? And then you have to moisten that particular paper and then you have to place your seeds. So likewise you have to place these seeds or you have to germinate these seeds on the paper which is kept in a petri plate, right? So here it is mentioned, I'm not going to read out this, okay? Just do remember. Now, between the paper, its short form is BP, right? Between the paper. So now, here see why this name is given so, between the paper, right? So because you are going to germinate the seeds in two papers, right? Means seeds would be in between two papers, right? And hence the name is given between the paper, right? So now see here, the seeds are germinated between two layers of paper. The seeds are placed between two layers of paper and then rolled in towels. Okay. And then rolled towels are placed in the germinator in upright position. Now here you can see here, these are the rolled towels. Okay, towels are not our cloth or normal towel which are present at our home, right? So these towels are nothing but what? These are the germinating papers in which we have kept our seeds, right? And the same germinating papers we have to roll like a rolling of towel, right? And then you have to keep those rolled towel in this manner as we are seeing in this picture. Now, the next is germination apparatus. So, first one is germination cabinet or germination room. So, So this particular, it is called as what? Chamber. Here see, I have mentioned here plant growth chamber. So where temperature and relative humidity are controlled. So here it is the knob where you are going to control your temperature and humidity. So one knob of temperature, another knob of this relative humidity, right? So here you are going to do, or you are going to mention the temperature and relative humidity as per the requirement of the various different kind of seeds. So here we can maintain the temperature, relative humidity and light required for different crops. So this is the plant growth chamber. Next is room germinator. Now here see, it works with the same principle as that of germinator, same cabinet like. So this is the modified chamber of larger one, and the worker can enter into it and evaluate the seedlings. Yes. Okay. So provision are made to maintain the temperature and relative humidity, and this is used widely in practice. Okay, so this is larger than the germinating cabinet, means here the worker can enter. See, this is, see, so how you can just imagine how bigger it is, right? Room germinator, and hence even its name itself indicates room germinator. A particular room is there for germination, so that one can enter it, and you can evaluate the particular seedling. Now next is seed counting board. Now here see, seed counting board. So here you have two boards, or it consists of, see, two plates. The basal one is stationary. See, basal one is what? Stationary, and top one is movable. So just imagine this is the board which is having the stationary one, which is basal one which is stationary, and top one which is movable. So both the top and basal plates are having uniform numbers of holes. See here. Okay, so are you observing, these are the smaller holes, right? So all these holes, they are exactly similar on the top as well as on the base, right? So after taking the sample, the top plate is pulled, right, in such a way that the holes are in one line, so that fixed number of seeds falls on the substratum. So here if you count here, it may be of 50 to 100 holes are there in this board, right? 50 to 100 holes are there, and once you are moving, or once you are pulling up this upper part, that is the top part, top plate, then your this whole of top plate is exactly similar, or in, I can say, a parallel in position of the whole of the basal plate, right? So that when you are keeping the seeds on the top one, that should going to fall on the whole of the parallel whole of the basal plate. Now the next part is vacuum seed counter, right? So here you can see, here this is the vacuum seed counter. So it consists of head, this is the head, then this is the black colored pipe, and this is the wall, right? So it consists of all these things. So when the vacuum is created, the plate absorb the seeds, and once the vacuum is released, the seed fall on the substrate. So likewise, this is the working of this vacuum seed counter. Now next is impression board. Now see, this is the impression board. It is made up of either of plastic or either of wood, and it is again consisting of 50 to 100 holes. See, this is just like your previous one, previous plate. So here the knobs are arranged in equal length. Here you can see the length of this is equal, right? So these are equal in length. All the knobs, they are having equal length, and this space between them and the length of this is the equal one, right? So by giving the impression on the sand, it makes the uniform depth and spacing for seeds. So here it is impression means what? Just you have to place the same board on the sand, or on a soil, so that the whatever the impression of this boat will be appear on the your substratum. Okay, and then it is very easy to us to put the seeds on it. Now next is evaluation of germination test. Now see, so germination test is evaluated in this 5 different way. So first one is evaluation of germination test of normal seedling, abnormal seedling, hard seeds, fresh and ungerminated seeds, dead seeds. So ISTA classified the seedling into different categories based on the development of essential structure. So based on the development of structure, this ISTA has categorized these 5 categories, that is of all these things. So one by one we have to look all the categories of these germination tests. So I'm going to start with the first, normal seedling. Now here you can see normal seedling. Just I will use the another color. See here. So this part, right? From here to here, this is what shoot portion, and from here to this, all this is root portion, right? So shoot comes from always from plumule, right? And the root comes from radicle. Just do remember this, right? Now when we are going to call the seedling as a normal seedling, right? So when we are going to call the normal seedling, because if the same a particular seed is going to germinate to have the healthy plumule and radicle, and plumule is going to convert into a shoot giving branches, sub branches and leaves on it, and even the radicle is going to form the root with the main root, primary root, second root, tertiary root. Okay, in a normal condition, then we are going to call the seedling as a normal seedling, right? So to have the normal seedling, again we must have these favorable conditions with us. So favorable conditions of soil, water, temperature and light. So all these conditions we must have, right? So what are the characters of normal seedling? So now here see, well developed root system with primary root. So except in certain species of Gramineae, here see, you can see primary root is going to develop in a dicot roots, whereas the in a monocot root this root should not be there. Okay, because in Gramineae all the grasses are there, right? So in a grasses adventitious type of root is there, so would not be a primary root in case of Gramineae, all the grasses plants, right? Now a well developed shoot axis consisting of elongated hypocotyl in seedlings of epigeal germination, right? So in epigeal germination, hypocotyl which which should be uh, which should present under the ground, but in case of epigeal germination, epi means above the ground, the germination occurring means, if suppose you might have seen the small seedling of your uh, uh, imli, right? So where the seedling they are coming up, seeds or the cotyledons they are coming up means above the ground, you are easily recognize them, and then further these epicotyl is going to form, right? So this is a epigeal germination. A well developed epicotyl in seedling of hypogeal germination, right? So well developed epicotyl should be there in case of hypogeal germination, the one cotyledon in monocot and two cotyledon in dicot. Then a well developed coleoptile in Gramineae containing green leaf, right? So coleoptile again the tissue which going to form the shoot part, that is stem and leaves, right? Whereas the root part is again going formed by the tissue, that is coleorhiza. Please do remember coleoptile and coleorhiza. Then next part, next characters, a well developed plumule in dicots. So all these are the characters of normal seedling. Now the next, see here. So this is the seedling which is formed through sand. Okay, this is the seedling first, right? Whereas this seedling, this is the one. Let me take laser. Okay, so this one is sand test and this one of towel test, right? So here you can see this is the primary root. Same here in case of this. And whereas secondary root which is developed on the primary root, they are called as what? Secondary root, right? And the portion which is present, let me take pen again. The portion which is present between the cotyledon to this radicle or the root, this portion whole, this portion is called as what? Hypocotyle. See, this whole portion, right? Whereas the portion which is present above this, okay, between the cotyledon to up, okay, up to this, so this portion it is called as what? Epicotyle, right? Hypocotyle, epicotyle, getting? And then the upper portion will start. So now see here, normal seedling again characteristics. So seedling with following slight defects. See here, if your seedling is having small slight defect, then also it is called or recognized as normal seedling, right? So primary root with limited damage must uh, limited damage but well developed secondary roots in leguminosae, for example Phaseolus, then Pisum, that is pea plant, then Gramine, example is maize, then Cucurbitaceae, example is Cucumis, kakri. Then Malvaceae, your example is cotton. So all these means even if the limited damage is occurs with the primary root, but secondary roots are well developed, then yes, that seedling we also called it as normal seedling, right? Then next third, seedling with limited damage or decay to essential structure but no damage to conducting tissue. Yes, so small these damages or these slight defects also accepted or categorized under normal seedling. The next, seedling are decayed by pathogen with a clear evidence that the present seed is not the source of infection. Yes. Okay. The seed which you have sown onto the paper or on a sand or on a soil, that seed was normal during sowing. Okay, but after that pathogen has infected it, so that type of seedling also considered as normal seedling. Now next, see, till here what we have discussed, till here normal seedling, right? Characteristics of normal seedling. Now see here, what are the characteristics of abnormal seedling, right? So here you can see this portion. See, so this portion you are observing the well growth of the seeds, right? And onto my right hand side, what you are observing here, seeds are there but they are not well germinated, right? Here on the left side you can observe that is good growth to the seeds, right? But here it is no growth to the seeds, right? And such a seeds they are called as what? Abnormal seedling. So here see, abnormal seedlings, they are not showing their germination capacity and they are not developed in they are not going to develop into a normal plant even if we have we are giving the favorable conditions of soil, water, temperature and light, right? So even we are providing such a conditions, they are unable to germinate, they are unable to grow further, right? So this abnormal seedling, they are again divided into these 5 subtypes. So first is damaged, second is deformed seedling, third one is decayed, fourth one is hard, and the fifth one is fresh and ungerminated seedling seeds, right? So one by one again we have to see what is exactly this damaged seedling, what is this deformed, what is this decayed, right? So just starts with the first damaged seedling. Now see here the first image, you can see here the image of damaged seedling. So now see the seedling with any one of the essential structure missing or badly damaged, any one. Okay, there are many structure, right? So we have the embryo, then we have the radical part, we have the shoot, upper plumule part, then we have leaves on it, right? So here what it is given, what is mentioned, any one part, any one part that is missing or badly damaged, and that seedling is called as what, damaged seedling, right? So seedling with no cotyledon, with splits, cracks and lesion or essential structures, and without primary root. Yes, right? So seedling with no of these, any one of these structure, not all, please do remember, not all, any one. Okay, so what it is given, any one of the structure should be missing, anyone, then you have to call seedling as a damaged seedling. So anyone, it is, it may be of no cotyledon, it may be of no, or with splits, then it has the cracks, it has the lesion, means any marks on it, any spots on it, then essential structures it is missing, then if it is without primary root, then it will be categorized under damaged seedling. Next, second part, deformed seedling. Now see, so in a deformed seedling what you are observing is root is not well developed, this is the first characteristic. Second is what, see here shoot part, so what you are observing in case of shoot part, here it is swollen. See here, see here in the image, swollen shoot, that is again the characteristic of this deformed seedling, right? So here again see what it is, it is spirally twisted, means structure is twisted, is in condition. Stunted plumule means growth of the plumule, this upper part is stunted, restricted, that is stunted, or hypocotyl or epicotyl. Okay, swollen shoot, as I mentioned, this is swollen shoot. Then stunted root, right? Roots are again stunted, means very short growth, that is stunted roots. Then this seedling is called as what, deformed seedling. The next, decayed seedling. Okay, so seedling with any one of the essential structure showing diseased or decayed symptoms as a result of primary infection from the seed, which prevents the development of seedling, right? So here you can see these parts, these are totally decayed, and then this particular seedling will not convert into a normal seedling. Okay, and hence we categorize this seedling as a decayed one. Okay, so obviously it's decayed one, it would not be grow into a normal seedling. The next, hard seeds. So which seeds they are called as hard seeds? So see here the seeds which do not absorb moisture, that is called as what, hard seeds. Okay, means suppose we are having the germination test, it is of 2 to 3 weeks, means till that 3 weeks seed is unable to absorb the moisture, unable to absorb the water, and they remain hard in condition, right? Then such a seeds they are called as what, hard seeds. So majoritarily the seeds of leguminosae and the malvaceae, they shows us these condition, hard seed condition. The next, fresh and ungerminated seeds. Now, here C means which seeds they are called as fresh and ungerminated. Means suppose we have sown 10 seeds in a petri plate. Out of 10, 2 or 3 they are showing or they are imbibed. Okay, they are imbibed. So what we would predict this, yes, as the seed they are imbibed they are going to germinate further, right? But those seeds they remain as it is, right? They remain as it is, they will never further germinate, right? So see here, the seeds which are neither hard nor have germinated but remain firm and apparently viable at the end of the period. So such seeds they are called as what? Fresh and ungerminated seeds. They neither hard nor have germination, right? Only they are imbibed in condition. They are swollen in condition. Such seeds they are called as fresh and ungerminated seeds. Next, dead seeds, right? So dead seeds, see here, seeds at the end of the test period are neither hard nor fresh or have produced any part of the seedling, right? So here they are neither hard, first character, they nor fresh or they nor produced any part of the seedling, right? So such seeds they are called as what? Dead seeds. So often dead seeds collapse, milky paste comes out when pressed at the end of the test, right? So such seeds they are called as dead seeds. Now see, suppose you have done all these things, then when you have to do this retesting, see here, so when you have to do retesting, so see here, if the results of the test are considered unsatisfactory, it will be it, it will not be reported and a second test will be made by the same method or by alternative method under following circumstances. So which are those circumstances? So replicates perform is out of tolerance, right? Then you have to perform these replicates which are out of tolerance. Then results being inaccurate due to wrong evaluating of seedling or counting or errors in test condition. So your result uh, being inaccurate because we have done the wrong evaluation, wrong testing, then we have counted it wrongly, so your result may be vary, right? So dormancy, persistence, or phytotoxicity or spread of the fungi or bacteria, so due to these fungal pathogen also your result would be uh, uh, it's not coming the result as we want, right? So average of the two test shall be reported. So here as we are taking the replicas, you have to take the average of the replicas and then you have to make the final testing result. Now, use of tolerances. So, how you have to use these tolerances? See, the result of germination test can be relied upon only if the difference between the highest and the lowest replica is within accepted tolerance. Means, yes, there are some, uh, uh, I can say, percentage in which we can accept a result, right? So, within that percentage, if our difference is coming between the highest and lowest replica, then we can use our tolerance, right? So to decide if the two test result of the same sample are compatible, again the tolerance table is used, right? So according to this we have to use the particular tolerance table, right, according to the highest and lowest replicas result. Now, reporting result. Then how we have to make the final report, final answer of our germination test. So here see total how many previously we have taken. We have taken total 400 seeds, right? So this minimum 400 seeds you have to take because these are the rule again set by the ISTA, and hence we have to take 400 seeds. So results, uh, suppose you have taken 100 seeds each, then your replicas would be a 4 times. So your results would be a 4 times result, right? So it is expressed as a percentage. Yes, we have calculated in previous in a first computational botany. We have learned this germination percentage. It's in a percentage manner, right? Means you have to multiply by 100. So the percentage is calculated to the nearest whole number. The percentage of abnormal seedling, hard, fresh, and even the dead seed is calculated in the same way. Means the whatever the rule or whatever the formula you are using for normal seeds, the same formula you have to use for abnormal, hard, fresh, and dead seeds, and then you have to put up or you have to mention your result. Then this should be entered on the analysis of certificate under appropriate space, right? And if the result is nil for any of these categories, means suppose you have mentioned nil against this hard, fresh, right? Then if the result is coming nil, then it shall be reported as 0 because there is no any meaning for nil. So you have to mention your percentage in a, it means in number way, right? It's not would be in nil, it would be in 0. So likewise you have to report your result. So that's how I have mentioned all these germination testing of the seeds, and I have made all the point in a very clear way so that you will get it, you have learned it, you have uh, understand all the point. And I have mentioned even the images wherever possible, and I hope you understand this lecture. So thank you very much for listening.